Good morning.
We're live.
So, how long have you lived in Benzie County?
I moved up to Benzie about 20 years ago.
What?
Before you start questions, we didn't talk about this, just basic introductory questions.
Okay. Started it.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. So,
Afternoon. Whenever you want a time to stamp this.
All right. So, what's your name?
My name is Corey Bechler, a high school and middle school art teacher here at Benzie Central Community Schools. Coach volleyball and basketball. Local artist.
And where do you live right now?
According to my wife, sometimes here in this classroom. But I have a log cabin over in the national park, over by Riverside Canoes.
So, how long have you lived in Benzie County?
I moved up here in 2000 from southern Michigan. But like many people that have moved up here over the years, I had summered up here. So it's always been a second home, and at the age of 21, it became my first home.
Cool. So, what drew you to living here?
A job here at Benzie Central Community Schools, teaching middle school and high school art.
So, what's so special about Benzie County?
It's a fantastic place. Stunning beauty, very relaxed atmosphere, close-knit community, great place to raise a family. I can teach till 3 o'clock, coach till 5:30, and go walk on the beach for another hour, and it's a great place.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small little town in southern Michigan called Moscow, Michigan, right on US 12 in Hillsdale County.
So, what was it like growing up there?
It was a fun childhood. We had a little bit of land and some cool toys, and I enjoyed putzing around on the farm and having a good old time.
Was it smaller than Benzie County?
Hillsdale County is a little bit larger, but it's kind of, houses aren't spread out as far. Benzie County has 2 public schools. I think Hillsdale County has 13 public schools. Every town had its own school, as opposed to Benzie that has a county-wide school.
So, how were your days spent as a child in Hillsdale County?
I had a great childhood.
Okay.
Some people collect baseball cards and stamps. My father collected fire trucks. So I actually, 12 years old, would grab a fire truck and go drive around on the farm, play with the siren, shoot water out of the hoses.
Wow.
When I went off to college, he downsized and started his collection of little John Deere garden tractors. And it was a good childhood, to say the least.
Hi, Mr. Beckler. I'm Finn.
Hi, Finn. I'm Corey Bechler. Nice to meet you.
You as well. So, what did you want to do as a child? Like, what did you want to be?
Started off thinking I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I saw the ugly side of that and really didn't want any part of defending people who may or may not be guilty all the time. Really got into architecture, and that's, I think, what prompted me to kind of start leaning towards this art career. Along the way, I had a fantastic history teacher, so when I was in college, I finally settled on I wanted to be a history teacher. And then I stumbled into this art classroom thing, and it's worked out pretty well. It's absolutely rewarding to show kids how to make things, watch the community enjoy each student's artwork as it's put on display, and it's a very rewarding career.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think that your past in history, does that help your art at all?
I think so. When I'm showing students, say Van Gogh or Picasso style pieces. Kids love stories. They don't necessarily like reading stories, but they like to be told stories. So I found that in that teaching realm, when I'm starting to introduce different artists, if I can pull some obscure fact that the kids have never heard of before, about Van Gogh or Picasso or what have you, and try to explain it to them. In that teaching world, it's called that anticipatory set. It hooks the kid and wants them to learn more. And I over the years, I think it's worked out really well to be able to encompass that history with that art.
Definitely. So growing up as a child, what was your family like?
Mom was a teacher. Dad worked for the local college. Brother ran cross country and basketball, and I played tennis. Drove fire trucks.
How did your family inspire you to who you are today?
My mom gave me that willingness to always strive and achieve and work hard. It was that teacher thing of C's are not good enough, try to get a B or an A. My dad was always the one that said, cool, you want a couch in your room, go build it. Take the tractor out in the woods and knock down a tree and you can use that. It was always that creative, what can you make out of this? What can you make out of that? And I think it was very important, very enjoyable to build things with my hands. It wasn't until college that I realized that that's called art, and some people actually make money doing it.
Sure, yeah. What was your favorite part about college?
You're going to shut the camera off for that one. College was enjoyable. I went to a small liberal arts college in southern Michigan called Hillsdale College. I was in a frat there. I played tennis my freshman year. Had a great time. Ended up getting a triple major there. I think I graduated like 196 credit hours or something like that. So I enjoyed college, all 5 years of it. Did some student teaching, got my teaching degree, and then moved up here to Benzie.
Sure, what were your majors in?
Art, history, and then general science.
Very cool. And what made you choose Hillsdale?
Growing up, it was the local college, 25 miles away. I loved going watching basketball games there, football games when I was a kid. High school, that was our home tennis court for our competitions. So I knew a lot of the kids that went there. It felt like home. And I looked at Michigan, I looked at Michigan State, I looked at Grand Valley Central, but I fell in love with Hillsdale.
Very cool.
So.
Did you always want to go to a liberal school?
No. I think like all colleges, you have to hear what they're saying and try to come up with your own perspectives based on different facts that you hear. Some things I very much agree with, some things I very much disagree with. I think it's good that you come up with your own opinions as you work through your college education.
Hi, Mr. Bechler. I'm Malia.
Hi, Malia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So when did you first decide to go into art? You said that was in college?
Yes. So I never took an art class in high school. I never took an art class in college until my senior year, my first senior year, actually. Took a black and white photography class. Fell in love with it. Fell in love with the professor. He did a great job. And he and I really got to know each other, and he really gave me a lot of the behind-the-scenes information on being an artist, the nuts and bolts of how to make money doing it, and how to be a teacher. And I think I had already had my history teaching degree at that point, so adding a minor/major was not something that wasn't in the foreseeable future. So I took that class my fall semester, loved it. That spring semester, I ended up taking another 18 credit hours of art. And by that point, I actually had my minor. The following fall, I was teaching, doing my student teaching of U.S. history and then AP biology. Hated it, but still taking art classes as every college kid does. He's sending out resumes left and right. I sent one to another little small school, and they called me and said, "Hey, we hear you passed your art exam through the state of Michigan. You have a minor. Would you like to come teach?" I said, "Sure." They said, it's a part-time job. You're covering for a lady on maternity leave, but we'd love to have you finish out the school year." I said, "Absolutely." So I did that. I coached at that school, and I was still taking classes at the college. And then that job came to an end. They offered me a job in a different academic arena. I said I'd rather not. Came up here and got a teaching job up here.
Okay. So you said earlier that your father and then him encouraging you to create things with your hands inspired you to become an artist?
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. It was like I probably hinted at before. It was a kind of a crazy childhood, but anytime I seemed to have a passion for things, he fully embraced it. I got into woodworking at the age of 12, and for my 12th Christmas, he bought me a bandsaw. Still have all my fingers. Dumb, I wouldn't do that as a parent myself, but it's amazing how just pushing people in the right direction, giving them the right tools, can cause people to really want to keep pushing to push the envelope a little bit and get better. Whether it was tinkering with old tractors, old fire trucks, making things out of wood, welding, being a teenage boy, fixing up the truck, whatever. It was good just to have those artistic expressions. And it wasn't until 8 years later when I started taking college art classes that I started to understand the big picture.
So do you think that push from your parents and the encouragement helped you out as a teacher today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Both in what to do and what not to do. But yes, absolutely.
So can you tell us about the first piece of art that you remember making?
I had lucked out doing black and white photography. I remember taking this brand new Baden leather basketball and putting it on my couch in my dorm room and setting the lights just right and snapping this picture where it looked like an eclipse of the moon. And it turned out great. And I put it into an art show at the college and sold it. And I thought it turned out amazing. It ended up going out to Seattle, Washington, to Baden Sports headquarters and hanging up in the owner's office. So an interesting way to start off that artistic career, but it worked out well.
So kind of going off of that, how has your art changed?
Well, I went from black and white photography, and as you know, nobody has 35 millimeter cameras anymore. It's all phones and digital cameras, and I'm not the most techie person in the world. So I went from that to dabbling in paintings, trying to do those little dot paintings like George Seurat, the pointillisms, and they were fun. I started doing some art fairs during the summer, and I sold maybe one at each show, but it wasn't a lot. It was a lot of work to trying to make each one. So then I started making little wooden toys, just like I did when I was 12 years old, and those sold really well. And it's a lot of work for $3, so I kind of held off on that. And then I started getting into this pottery thing about 12, 15 years ago, and it's really taken off. It's exceeded my wildest expectations for a supplemental income, so to speak, for being a teacher.
So we know that you make birds. Why birds?
The quick answer, they sell. The more artistic answer is they're fun. I mean, you can sit there and make them with 500 different personalities and different facial expressions, different colors, different textures. They're cute and quirky, and they sell. They've been a very good supplemental income for my family.
I just want to say one thing as a reminder. You're doing a good job of it, but try to remember to repeat the question in your answer. So why do you make birds? Say, I make birds.
So her voiceover isn't in the video as much?
Yeah.
Got it.
How's your battery doing?
Everything looks good. You might want to restart it now because it's at 15 minutes.
So how did growing up in Moscow affect your art?
Growing up in Moscow, I think that really kind of made me who I am today. It gave me that you can make anything out of anything mentality. It was close enough to big cities that I was able to kind of see and be influenced by those items. Ann Arbor was an hour away. East Lansing was 45 minutes away. Detroit was an hour and 15 minutes away. It was close enough to the big city that I could go and see what the real people were doing. But Moscow was a small little blip on a map. In fact, it's not even on some maps. And I learned that if I wanted to do something, the only person in the mirror, or the only person stopping me was the person in the mirror. So work hard and try to make something out of nothing.
So how does living in Benzie County now affect your art?
Living in Benzie County is a dream. This community is a tourism mecca. People come up here from pretty much every state in the country. Many different countries. Even there people come through Benzie County, checking out Point Betsy, taking a trip down the Platte River, walking on the beaches and looking at the sand dunes. Having those hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of tourists every year come through this small little region in the world. I seem to have some sort of a reputation of making kind of quirky, cool art, and people seem to buy it. I enjoy making it. It's helped. Living here has helped kind of promote my art, and being able to tell people where I'm from has been a very beneficial thing.
Okay, so if money wasn't an issue, how would your art change?
Great question. If money wasn't an issue, how would my art change? I'd probably use a lot more gold in my artwork just for kicks and giggles. I'd probably make more one-of-a-kind, larger pieces. Right now I'm making kind of smaller touristy pieces. I would make larger gallery-style pieces. Or if money wasn't an issue, I might just sit on the couch and relax and chill after a hard day's work. But no, great question. I don't know that answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's your favorite student again.
That might need to be edited.
Okay. So, can you remember or think of your favorite piece of art you've made?
My favorite piece of art that I've ever made. Great question. I would say it in this clay world. I started making these abstract clay faces and I made one that really seems to really resonate in my mind. It's maybe 2 feet by 1 foot in size, maybe an inch thick, and then it's mounted on a pedestal. And it was one of the first ones I ever made. I used a lot of earth tone colors, kind of a mix between Picasso and maybe a Mogdalini style, where really elongated face but abstract pieces everywhere. But I think it turned out really cool. And one of my first big sales, so to speak, during a summer fair, and the lady was so tickled pink, she actually took it with her to Hawaii, where she lived, and then to Colorado, and then back to Michigan, and then back to Hawaii. And it's she always sends me pictures of it going through the X-ray machine in the airport, and she loves it almost as much as I do. So kind of cool.
So who or what inspired you to make that piece of art?
The cool thing about this art gig is you can kind of make something out of nothing. Many times I tell my students, just sit there and kind of doodle until you come up with an idea. And once you come up with an idea, let's embrace it. Let's make it a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And the same is true with me when I go out in my little studio at home. I take a piece of clay and just kind of sit there and fold and shape and mold it until something comes into my mind, and then I make this, and then I make another one, and then I make this. And then I try to figure out, okay, what can I make maybe a little bit bigger? Can I make it flatter? Can I make it wider? And it's a lot of just screwing around, so to speak, but it seems to work out really well.
So can you kind of explain like your process of creating artwork, like what's going through your head as you're making it?
It depends on what. So the creative process of making my art. With clay, it's one of those things where I'm lazy. I don't go out to the riverbank and dig the clay out of the river. I buy it pre-processed, so all I have to do is just cut it and go. Depending on what I need to be making that day, if I need to make a handful of little birds, I'll sit there and mold and shape and make some little birds. If I need to make some dogs, I'll make some dogs. If I have a little bit more free time on my hands, then I'll sit and kind of explore and play and try to figure out what I need to make. Right now I'm in the process of making 5 mammal sculptures. They need to be between 2 foot and 4 foot tall, and they're going into a gallery show later this year. So I'm trying to make little maquettes, little sculptures, little examples, to see what I like, what I don't like, and then what I want to make much larger. So it depends on how much time I have available, and it depends on what special orders I have coming up, I guess.
So what is it like teaching at Benzie Central High School?
What is it like teaching at Benzie Central High School? We have some absolutely exceptional students. We have a very beautiful location. We do have our trials and tribulations like many school districts do. But I feel that our students are exceptional and thirsty for knowledge. I seem to have kids always showing up to class. Very rarely do I ever have kids skipping my class. In fact, many times I have kids skipping other classes and coming in and hanging out in here. They seem to be comfortable in this environment. They seem to enjoy coming in and working, making as many cool things as possible. I try to get their work out into the public as much as possible, get them some notoriety for their skill set. And we have some great kids, very supportive parents, very supportive administration. And I think to go along with us living in God's country, we we have some exceptionally creative students. So it's been a blast so far.
So how does it make you feel to like inspire kids? Like how does that make you feel?
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed?
It's hard to take a compliment, I guess. I think we have some fantastic kids that go to Benzie, and when I get a compliment, it's hard to take, but I smile and say thank you because the kids did the heavy work. I just kind of steered them in the right direction, showed them as many cool things as I could, and it was up to the kid to decide what they wanted to work on and excel at. It's kind of like basketball or coaching volleyball, where you show them as many things as possible, and it's kind of up to them how much they want to work at it. So. Other favorite student?
Yes. So kind of going off of that, you were talking about earlier how sometimes you just have the students doodle and then see what they want to do from there. But what other ways do you inspire your students?
How do I inspire my students? I try to piggyback on some of my background, whether it be my history or my science. It's always fun to try to blow up things in class. Bring out the blowtorches. The kids seem to really want to pay attention when you do that. So showing students as many weird, quirky little things as possible, and money talks. If we're doing a splatter painting project, I might resonate with them and talk to them about a painter by the name of Jackson Pollock, who splatter painted back in the 50s and sold his paintings for $100,000 back then. And I might talk about another artist named Jasper Johns, who painted the American flag and sold it for $1 million. And kids seem to like to hear about money. So it's, you tell them not everybody has that success story, but let me show you a couple tricks along the way. And it seems to help. So showing them things that appeal to them, talking about that financial background, and then trying to just let them play and have some fun.
What do you hope students get out of your class?
When a student leaves my classroom, I'm hoping that their drawing skills are decent. I'm hoping they have some cool pieces to hang up on their wall and show their grandkids. I hope that they will be able to walk out of here not necessarily being spoon-fed the answers, but to be able to think on their own and be able to kind of start their own art career if they wanted to, whether it be going the college route or trying to do it a little bit tougher.
So what is it like to see one of your students really flourish in a certain subject?
We have had some amazing students here at Benzie. So I've been here for almost 20 years, and it's been great to see a handful of my students now starting to have their own shows, whether it's downstate or here locally, to put their artwork on display. It's been very cool to watch. All those little tricks that I showed them years ago, and watch how they take that idea and then make it their own and come up with their own subject matter has been awesome.
Have you ever learned anything from your students?
Absolutely. Teaching 12 to 18, 19-year-olds keeps me young. I see people my age in the art community, and they're starting to turn into those old fuddy-duddy type of people, and I still know what hashtags are. Kids teach me so many things all day long that they've kept me young and knowledgeable. So it's been a good mesh point.
Yeah, definitely.
Battery's good, film's good.
Okay, so if a student came to you as an aspiring artist asking for advice, what would you tell them?
If a student came to me as an aspiring artist asking for advice. I think it would very much depend on what route they're looking for. If they are looking at the college route, I think I would try to point them in the direction that their artwork is trying to take them. Some schools are better at, say, furniture design or architecture or drawing or painting. So you wanna go to one of those places that will enhance your current skill set. If they're not looking at the college route, I would then try to show them other avenues for how to make money, and how to support themselves, their family, with their artistic abilities.
So what about one just general statement for a piece of advice for aspiring artists?
If I had one piece of advice for an aspiring artist, try as many different mediums and avenues as possible, but just keep working. It's a grind, but the more different avenues that you go in, the more you're spreading your web, and you can then try to hone it into one concise medium after a while.
So how do you balance your job as an art teacher and your job as a working artist?
How do I balance my life? Very tricky. I try to deal with all of my online sales. In the morning, as soon as I wake up, I check my phone to see what I have to package up. I go do that really quick, and then come in, get my children up in the morning, take a shower, get ready for work, come here, hang out till 3 o'clock. I love coaching, so I usually coach till 5:30 each night, and then go home and work in the studio for a couple of hours, and then try to hang out with the kids around bedtime, and then go to sleep and do the whole thing over again.
So is it difficult to balance? Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to word this. I'm just gonna move on to the next question.
There's not enough time in the day for what I'm trying to balance.
Right.
Yes.
So what's the strangest interaction that you've had at an art show?
Probably can't say those on camera. Strangest thing that I've observed at an art show. The city of Ann Arbor has a wonderful array of street performers. And one of my favorites is the Wolfman. He is a tall, gangly, 2x4 looking guy that is maybe 100 pounds and about 6'4", and he wears a werewolf mask. And he walks around playing the most beautiful music I've ever heard on his violin. And he always comes in and hangs out in my booth, and we talk for a little while each year when I do the Ann Arbor Art Festival. But the very first time I ever saw that, it was definitely a spectacle. Definitely something I've never seen before, but well worth it. Some friends of mine have since had him play with his werewolf mask at their wedding, at their parties. He's definitely been a staple of the Ann Arbor community. So if you ever go to Michigan and hang out on the streets once in a while, you may see this guy. Yes. Have you seen him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while.
He's great. He's like 20 years, maybe more.
So, actually, what impact do you want to have on your community?
What impact do I want to have on my community? I want this to be a place that I want to raise my children. I want to leave Benzie County better than I found it. I want people to enjoy their interactions with me. I like to make people a little happier than they once were. my classroom, I try to have students make as many cool pieces of art as possible that they will be proud of to display. In my own life, I try to make happy, fun, whimsical pieces that you look at and smile.
So why is art important to you?
I think it's just another why do I think art is important to me? I think it's just another outlet to communicate. I enjoy having interactions with people. I enjoy telling stories with people, and I think with art you're able to tell more stories than maybe just holding up your English paper.
So why should people care about art?
Why should people care about art? That is the age-old question. I think you will have a better understanding on so many things in this world by having a passion for art. My background alone, I'm able to intertwine that art and that history and that chemistry and that physics. You need to be able to speak English correctly, which I am not one of those people, but to be able to portray your artwork better. I think if you're an artist, you're almost like the MacGyver of the world. You're able to fix anything, you're able to build anything, you're able to do just about anything, and I think that's important.
Can you describe Benzie County in one word?
Describe Benzie County in one word. I'm going to go with beautiful.
I have one. Yes. How would you?
No, you're good.
You can look at me.
I'll look into the camera.
What was one word that you would use to describe your artwork?
If I could describe my artwork in one word, I'd probably go whimsical.
Thank you.
Thank you.